Students, this is Professor Toledo. So I wanna record this video to help you with the UML class diagram and with your assignment for this week. Okay, so we're gonna start reviewing the UML diagram. Okay, have some example here. In the UML diagram, you are gonna have the specification to implement a class. Okay, imagine that you are going to start working in a new organization and your first task is design a class. They are going to provide you the UML diagram. Based on the UML diagram, you are going to be able to code the class, the template, okay, the blueprint. Let's gonna review really quick that, okay, in order to understand the diagram with inheritance that is for your assignment, even though you don't have to apply inheritance yet. Just design a class from the UML diagram. So let's go to start from scratch. So in a UML diagram, you're gonna see the first element, the name of your class. So as you see here, the name of your class is circle. Circle capitalizing the first letter, C. You have to follow whatever is there, exactly whatever is there. Okay? So next, the next block contains the data fields or attributes. Okay? If you see how many attributes the class circle has, two attributes or data fields, right? One is double, the radius in this case, and n number of object integer. Okay? Two attributes, two data fields. And one other important thing that you have to notice here is that see the dash in front of the variable, in front of the attribute. This dash or minus symbol means that you have to declare the data fields or attribute private. So when you type the attribute, you're going to type that private. Okay? We're going to cover in some minutes. I'm going to give you the theory. Then the last part of the UML diagram are the methods. And usually you're gonna see the constructor, that is a method, but it's special, at the beginning of this block. Let's gonna see here. See circle. What is the characteristic of the constructor? They have the same name as the class. In this case, the class is circle, right? The constructor is circle, but with parentheses. It means that this is the default constructor or constructor without parameters. Okay? Sometimes you are not going to see that in the UML diagram. So assume that everyone is going to implement that. Okay? But appear here. Also, see the plus sign here? It means that it's public. Of course, because this special method, the constructor, is that it's going to be executed when we create object. So when you create a scanner input equal new scanner, parentheses, you're creating a new object. So you are calling the constructor from the class scanner to create an object. So in this case, when you create a circle object, you are going to call the constructor circle. It's pretty much the same thing, okay? Now you have the overloader constructor or constructor with parameters. In this case, you recognize that it's a constructor because it has this method has the same name as a class. Perfect. So now what is inside the parentheses? Oh, you have an attribute. So this is an overloader constructor, right? Okay. So as you see, we identify two constructors here in the UML diagram. The default and overloader constructor. Sometimes you are not going to see the default constructor. They're going to code only the overloader constructor. But here appear both. Then what is next? In this case, the getter and the setter are maybe another special method. But all of them must be methods. Okay? So remember, always when you see a UML diagram, you're going to see the getter, accessor, setters, or mutators. Okay? Always. So in this case, let's go and identify the getter and the setter. A get number of subjects. How can I identify that? Because they retrieve, the getter retrieve the attribute in this class. So in this class, we have radius and n number of objects, two attributes. So let's go and identify the getter. See, get number of objects. get radius. See that? These are the getters or accessors. And the mutator or setter, where we only have here set radius. And what is the characteristic of the getter first? I told you, they retrieve the attribute. So there's gonna be a method that return a value. Double, in this case, integer, because they have to match with the attribute. Double, integer. With a setter, the setter is a method that is gonna be in charge to modify the data of your object. So if you wanna modify the data of your object, you need a new value, right? So it's like update your phone number, okay? And then what? You need, you have to provide me the new number, right? If you want to update the number, right? Correct. It's the same thing with the setter, the mutator. So see the method, the setter. You're going to see inside the parentheses a new variable, for example, or a variable. Let's going to say it simple, a variable. And you're going to see that the method is type void. This is the characteristic for the setter. Void method, and you receive a new value, and this is the value that you're going to use to update the data for your object. Simple. Okay? This video, yes, is a quick recap of UML diagram. You're going to see in another video UML diagrams with a parent class and two subclasses. Okay? Let me stop here. Let me stop recording.